Hey, this is Matt once again. What about 10 videos? Another paid request. This time for RB. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos or topics, reactions, commentaries, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for The Longest Yard, 2005 film, which is this film here. Which I don't know why poster's probably right there, but I do have the DVD. This is a film that I always thought was okay. I keep it for... There's a while I was doing these, taking an actor or director, collect as many of their films as I could. And this is one of them for the Adam Sandler collection. Don't have all of them because then he started going to Netflix, and Netflix don't really release those movies, although I'm fine with it because most of them are pretty bad, like Hubie Halloween. Like I said, this is okay. I never loved it, never thought it was fantastic or great or hilarious, but I do like the football footage in this. I think at times it's fun with some good songs. Can't go wrong with having songs from AC/DC among other stuff during the soundtrack. Pretty good cast of recognizable people. I don't remember much about the original with Burt Reynolds, which this has Burt Reynolds in it as well. Right there, rest in peace, Burt. Now, it's directed by Peter Segal. He did Tommy Boy, Anger Management, a couple films I've enjoyed. Adam Sandler plays this quarterback who's been out of the game for a few years because we come to find out he threw a game because he was in it with some bad people, so he had to do it, but he felt guilty about it. So he's getting drunk, he's in this rich place, he's with his girlfriend played by Courtney Cox, which I always forget Courtney Cox is in this because it's such a fairly small role, because you never see her come back. She's only at the very beginning. Of course, Courtney Cox from the Scream films and etc. So she's being mean and says, you need to put on this goofy outfit, you need to come down and entertain my friends, and if you don't, we'll kick you out. So he locks her in the closet, gets drunk drives in her car, fucks some shit up, goes to jail, and he's going to be in jail for about 3 years. So he goes to jail, and I forget where the jail was, but it's out in the middle of nowhere. And as soon as he gets there, you have the guards. The lead guard played by William Fichtner, who was in The Dark Knight. He was one of the main villains in the 2014 Ninja Turtles film. He doesn't like them there. Gets him to see the warden. The warden's played by James Cromwell, who was in Babe, and Babe 2, Pig in the City. He was in The General's Daughter. He was the general in The General's Daughter. He's been in a lot of stuff. And the warden says, listen, I have this game coming up. My guards are going to be in it. I want you to train them. Adam just wants to serve his time. James Cromwell gets pissed, says, make it hard for you. Ultimately says yes. Then offers, hey, when we play games, we'd usually play like a tryout game. But perhaps if we win that game, that'll get people motivated for the big game. Okay, well, you don't get a bunch of convicts, you don't get them ready for a game, and it'll be the convicts versus the guards. Adam Sandler doesn't want to do it, but then he's got to get the guards together, and the more he gets involved with these guys, the more they become family to him, and the more he really wants to win this game and beat the guards in the big game at the end. There you go. Like I said, I don't remember much of the original film, so how... I do remember the original being more edgy. I guess that's the theme with this film is, in all honesty, well, it's not the same plot. When I think of football comedies, I would say I probably got more laughs out of The Replacements with Keanu Reeves and Gene Hackman. I know people disagree. I might have gotten a little bit more chuckles out of Necessary Roughness with Scott Bakula and Sinbad. And there's other sports comedies I've enjoyed more than this. Major League, White Men Can't Jump, It's not a comedy, but I love Any Given Sunday. Speaking of football movies. But like I said, this is not a bad film. I was talking about the cast, like the convicts. Even if I look on here, of course you got Adam Sandler. You got Chris Rock, who's known as the caretaker. He can get you what he wants. He becomes sort of the assistant to Adam. And it was great to see them in the same film together. I think this is the first time they got to be in the film together. They have some nice back and forth. They've known each other for a while, ever since SNL. So it was nice to see these two guys together in a film. I think their back and forth are some of the stronger highlights of the movie. Burt Reynolds, great to see him in there, and not just as a cameo. He decides to be the coach of this team. He was a character. His character had won the Heisman Trophy years ago. And I miss Burt Reynolds. I've always enjoyed Burt Reynolds. I love the film Hooper. That's my favorite of his. I really enjoy Smokey and the Bandit. I like, what was the Cannonball Run movies. So great to see Burt in there. Rest in peace to Burt. He's a good actor. Great actor. The other convicts, you got Bob Sapp, this big guy who's in the UFC. You got Terry Crews, of course, would be in the Expendables films, among others. As a memorable character here, Cheeseburger Eddie, who could get you anything from McDonald's, and he's always giving people like cheeseburgers and stuff. I got the cheese that'll weaken your knees. I got the fries that'll shake up your thighs. So he was fun. Michael Irvin from the Dallas Cowboys. He's the wide receiver of this team. Nelly. Yes, Nelly. He becomes the running back. Bill Goldberg from WCW. He's in there. Dulip. What you're trying to think, is he the Great Khali, this guy? I think he is. I think that's the Great Khali. Which, if so, he's one of the worst wrestlers of all time. But he's a big fucking guy. I think he also, at one point, accidentally killed someone in the ring. Which immediately should have gotten him kicked out, but just because of his size, he was left in to poison more of WWE. But you also have, let's see, Nick Turturro. I see him in stuff. Tracy Morgan is one of the cheerleaders. And even the guards, like I mentioned, James Cromwell was the warden. William Fichtner's the lead guard. You also have Brian Bosworth, the Boz himself, from Stone Cold. He's one of the guards. Kevin Nash from WWF as Diesel, WCW as Kevin Nash, one of the outsiders. He's in this, and he's fun. There's a bit where they change his steroids to estrogen, so now he's acting more feminine. And apparently one of my cats is having a conniption fit, not wanting to think Kevin Nash is feminine. But he's pretty funny. The way he reacts to people, like during the game, Adam Sandler does a move, and Kevin's like, "Oh, you fooled me. Oh man, after all, even with all this stuff, you say nice things to me." Or the way Stone Cold Steve Austin, who's one of the guards, gets mad at Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash says, "It's about sportsmanship. Shut up." And Kevin Nash goes, like, I thought that was commendable for Kevin Nash to kind of take the piss out of his image. He was definitely more of the memorable parts of the guards. Who else did he have? I think there's a few other recognizable people in there. I can't remember them all. And that's kind of the thing, is that there's a lot of these recognizable people, but a lot of them don't. I think like Joey Diaz, he's a comedian. He has stuff on YouTube. I've listened to his clips of his podcast once in a while. He's one of the cons. But the fact is that there's so many people that it's hard to really get development or anything. It's just more of, oh, I recognize that person, but I can't tell you much about their character. I recognize Bill Goldberg, can't really tell you a whole much about him in the movie, but hey, there's Goldberg and he's tough. Uh, like, trying to think who else. Like Stone Cold Steve Austin and Brian Bosworth. They're part of the guards, but there's not. I mean, other than like Stone Cold Steve Austin, I remember two scenes. One where he was yelling at Kevin Nash, and another where he's yelling at Nelly. Nelly tossed to Bob Sapp, and spoiler alert, Bob Sapp clotheslines him, and apparently Stone Cold Steve Austin's character shit his pants. We don't see it, but like 5 people said, I think he shit his pants. And that's the type of humor you have. It's PG-13. It's that Happy Madison type of humor, which I enjoyed for a while. I mean, I really like Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore. I like The Wedding Singer. I like Anger Management. But even by this point, it was those Adam Sandler films after this that he did that I liked, but it was kind of getting a bit thin, with me at least. So it's one of those films that I wish either was a bit edgier or a little less Happy Madison in terms of humor. Like Rob Schneider has a cameo going, "You can do it," like The Water Boy. Sometimes some of Chris Rock's lines fell flat. Like when one of the early practices of the cons, they're all fighting each other, and Chris Rock goes, "Can't we all just get along?" So that's what I mean. There are funny moments in it, but it's not hilarious like other movies. But like I said, there are moments like when the cons get the revenge on the guards. Some of Bob Sapp where the big guy kicks Bob Sapp and broke his nose, and they fix it. Oh, you look better like a young Michael Jackson. I love little Michael. Like Terry Crews, some of his stuff. Adam Sandler mostly plays it straight. Like, he's not doing crazy weird voices or anything. So, in a way, it's a bit refreshing. Maybe some people will feel it's boring or generic a performance, but it's nice that he's not just, he's definitely the more serious of the group. And maybe I would like to have seen a bit more of just Adam and Chris Rock going back and forth, and maybe a bit wittier in dialogue. But like I said, they have nice moments in there that shine. I liked all the recognizable people in the cast. It was nice to see Burt Reynolds in there. I wish I could have seen a bit more edge. Like if this was rated R. I probably would have preferred if this was rated R. It made a lot of money at the box office. I probably would not have made that if it was rated R, so I'm sure that's why. But with this group of people, like Chris Rock and Goldberg doesn't curse, but at least not usually. I just think with an R rating, you could really let loose in some of the tenacity, and it is a prison. So it's going to be a lot more. I don't know. I keep thinking of the word edge, just not the wrestler edge, but just a bit edgier. I think would have made it even more entertaining. Could have let loose and not be hampered by. Like for example, there's a joke that I remember. I swear to God, I don't know if there's an unrated cut of this or it was just in a trailer, or marketing maybe, where Chris Rock's like, "Who don't kill the guards? Who don't maim the guards? Who don't rape?" And Nick Turturro goes, "The guards, food ya." But in the movie it goes, "Who don't kiss? The guards." And I think the first one was a bit funnier. More like, oh shit. While Kiss just seemed a bit, hampered. Which is weird because, like I said, a lot of it feels like, I don't know, football version of, later on Grown Ups or these other films. And then they do something where, spoiler, David Patrick Kelly, I forgot he's in this. He's a guy who's a prisoner who's working with the guards. David Patrick Kelly was in The Warriors. Come out play. He was the bad guy in, oh, what was it? Dreamscape. He was in 48 Hours. He was a guy helping with cleanup in the first John Wick, if you give him enough gold coins. I've been, good character actor. I forgot he was in this. He's told to fuck up Adam Sandler's room, but Chris Rock is in there, turns something off, and he gets killed. Chris Rock gets burned and blown up. Like, he gets an explosion where he's on fire, and then the people react, and then Chris Rock dies. I don't know, that just seemed a bit dire circumstances for how the rest of the movie played out. Like, the way the rest of the movie played out was, again, Adam Sandler playing ping pong with the great Khali, trying to get him to play football. Bob Sapp going, I like little Michael. Terry Crews giving people cheeseburgers. To then go the swerve of Chris Rock dying, and for a few seconds he's on fire, is like, as much as you did PG-13. Just seemed like a big swerve. Now maybe that's something that was in the original. If so, that makes sense. My vague memories of the original, because I would say I didn't see it, but I keep thinking I did, but I just remember bits and pieces, so yeah, I might as well say I didn't see it. But I remember it being a bit edgier, harder than this movie. It would fit in that. Here, it just seemed out of the blue and out of place. It was kind of disconcerting. I would have preferred if Chris Rock was just hurt, unconscious, something else. And then in the middle he wakes up and he's, get the shit, like Chris Rock had been unleashed. And they rock, I don't know. But I guess they had to give some type of reason for why. But I don't know, you could have made it where, oh, I think Chris Rock was trying to murder you. No, he wasn't. No, I think you can't see through your rays, but I'm going to see through my rays. So if you don't throw the game, I'm going to fuck up Chris Rock's life, because he only has a few years left. But if you don't, and then someone finds out, tells Chris Rock, he will listen to Chris Rock, but then the whole team tells him, and I don't know. I just would have preferred that. I liked Chris Rock in the movie. Him getting killed off and not being there for the good chunk of the second half of the film. It just was a bit of a bummer. I just don't think that fit in this movie. Maybe in another movie it could fit. I just don't think it fits in this movie. I felt like a pretty dire swerve for how the rest of the movie played out. It would be like if in the middle of the wedding singer, that old lady who did the hip, the hop, the hip, she all of a sudden got in a car crash and died. Or if in Grown Ups, the first one, in the middle of the film, you find out that, I don't know, David Spade's character had cancer. Like, what? I just don't think it fit. Is a buzzkill. Now, the rest of the film is pretty much the football game. It's a good chunk of the movie, and I liked it. I mean, I think it was filmed well enough that I could really feel the intense hits. They did a decent enough job letting me know who was who on the field, telling the story, whether it be the ref pulling bad calls all of his ass, bad calls way out of his ass, and then Adam Sandler keeps throwing footballs at his nuts and going, so you want to call a fair game? Okay. Again, Kevin Nash being more and more estrogen filled. People getting their moments to shine, whether Bill Goldberg getting a sack to get a fumble, or Bob Sapp taking care of Stone Cold Steve Austin, or Michael Irvin and Nelly getting their moments to shine with touchdowns. Even Burt Reynolds gets a moment to shine to get a touchdown. which apparently that was one of the things Burt Reynolds wanted. He's like, I'm not going to do the movie if it's just a cameo. I want to be in the movie and I want to get a touchdown. Because Burt Reynolds was a man's man. He wanted, pride, ego, however you want to put it. He wanted to let people know that he still had it in him. And he did. And the football, it was fun. I mean, a lot of times they're fun, high, ferocious velocity. That's not a word. Ferocious velocity of movement of football. Usually pretty entertaining. It's hard to make that boring. Not saying it's impossible. I mean, Any Given Sunday's my favorite, with the way Oliver Stone directed those scenes, but that's the thing. I don't really watch football in real life. But because with the cameras, you do really get up close and personal and really get more of the hits, and it makes it much more of a fun, visceral experience with each bone-crunching hit, the sound design. A lot of these guys doing it for real, of course. The way the camera get really in there, and that's so far away. It usually makes it for a fun movie-going experience. Plus, it's cool when you got AC/DC's, if you want blood, you got it. And I know there's another AC/DC song before that. You have other songs in there as well. I think like Spirit in the Sky is playing before the game starts. Spirit in the Sky. A lot of the familiar songs people know. I kind of wish the ending was a bit longer, as in, like, when things wrap up, Adam Sandler goes in with Burt Reynolds, gives James Cromwell the football, put this in your trophy case. Two of the cons douse the warden in Gatorade. You get the hot box for a week. Who gives a shit? Then the movie ends. I wish there's maybe a little bit more with the other characters. Maybe, like, them kind of celebrating their win, and maybe they have something of Chris Rock there in memory, and they're kind of celebrating with each other, having fun with each other, and their celebration of their victory. Maybe just a little bit more would have been nice, but like I said, the cast it's got a very interesting cast. At least for me, recognizable people. Adam Sandler playing a bit more straight was a nice change of pace. Like I said, having Burt Reynolds and Chris Rock in there help. Having people like Goldberg, Brian Bosworth, Stone Cold Steve Austin was cool. Even though they don't have a lot to do, but it's still nice to see them in there. There's a couple funny bits. I like the timing of when he first sees the great... I think it's the Great Carly. Doolip is his real name. When he yells, and without missing a beat, Adam Sandler goes, I'm going to take a piss, and leaves. I thought that was some nice timing. But again, it's not the most funny film. I think there's so many characters, it's hard for all of them to get their screen time. Chris Rock's death does seem a bit of a buzzkill. I'm on other nitpicks here and there, but overall, it's an okay film. It's a decent film. Okay, decent film. The Longest Yard. Again, R-rated, edgy. I kind of wish it was more in that direction. Especially since it's MTV as part of it, but oh well. It is what it is. But hey, it made a lot of money. It was another very successful venture for Adam Sandler, and this is a time where it seemed like Adam Sandler was unstoppable. Because then after this he did, Click? Or something like that, and that was very much a hit. Anger Management was a hit. So for a while there, Adam Sandler, like, each time he popped a movie out, garnered big bucks. So there you go. With that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.